Dr. Thakkar, thank you so much for doing this with me. For those who are going to be joining and watching the replay of this, I just want to give my community a little heads up. So Dr. Thakkar is a physician. He's an MD. He's a clinical psychiatrist, and he is one of the founders of Reimbursify. And so Reimbursify is a website and application that allows patients to submit out-of-network claims for reimbursement. And I know, as one of many clinicians, I'm a physical therapist myself, practicing for over 20 years. Helping individuals that want to go to an out-of-network provider is always challenging. And the reason why is it's just such a cumbersome process for those individuals, those patients, to get the reimbursement that they've paid for, that they've deserved, that they've worked for. And so I hope today we can shed some light on how that process works, how Reimbursify can help clinicians really expand their practice, open up new communities of patients who need their services, and allow those patients to access the benefits that they've paid for. So if you would take just a minute and introduce yourself to the community of PTs, OTs, and SLPs who are going to be watching this in the future, it would be amazing.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Tony, for having me on. So my name is Vatsal Thakkar. I'm a psychiatrist. I ran my own full-time private practice in New York City, where I was out of network, sometimes called running a cash practice, and realized that patients really needed help and guidance in accessing their benefits. I always thought it was wrong that the claims weren't being filed because these are benefits that should pay for legitimate medical services, and that's why people have insurance. And so before too long, I actually took it upon myself to help people file their own claims, which is a question probably many of us ponder and decide one way or the other. I decided to help some people that I was seeing file claims. One patient actually came in with a stack of receipts from my office over the last year and a claim form, and just said, during this appointment, can we use some of the time for you to help me fill these out? So after doing that, I realized, okay, this is way harder than it needs to be. I'm going to simplify it for people. In the beginning, I was just filling out paper claims in an automated way through some desktop software, mailing them for people, and everyone loved it. Everyone took me up on it. All of my patients wanted me to do that for them. But then I realized I didn't want to be doing that in an ongoing basis, because along with offering that service comes responsibility of following up on claims or becoming the customer service arm for their claims. And that's really where the idea for Reimbursify was born, because I just figured there needs to be a software tool in the patient's hands that requires minimal input or no input from the practitioner, and puts the patient at the center of that reimbursement cycle.
Right.
And so here we are. We launched the Reimbursify app. It came out of beta about 3 years ago, and for the last year or so, we've now offer a practitioner portal for practitioners. So we have software for both on the patient side and the practitioner side.
And I want to get into that, because I recorded today actually a tutorial for my community of clinicians showing them how to sign up for Reimbursify. And so I was looking at how the website is set up, where you have it for the individual patient to sign up, you have it for the provider to sign up. I've talked to a couple providers that are using the service already, and they're super happy with it. But take me back just a minute, because I know a lot of clinicians are going to see this and they're going to think, well, what's the difference between Reimbursify and a standard clearinghouse, something like an Office Ally or an Availity? How are you guys different?
So a clearinghouse is really meant for one of those that you mentioned, and I have experience using both just myself when I was running my practice. They're really geared for the traditional healthcare model, where you have a dedicated person who sits behind a computer all day and that's all they do, or that's much of what they do. So they look at that interface and they file claims, they track claims, it's a siloed system, if you will. So it was great for the 80s and 90s and maybe early 2000s, but nowadays, especially in the out-of-network space, we don't hire people just to sit at a computer to file and track claims. So that's one of the areas where they fall short. And another area is that the Reimbursify system is modular by design. It's not siloed. And so practitioners can choose the level of involvement they want with the claims process. So some practitioners let the patient do everything and file their claims, and really there's zero extra input or work on the practitioner side. Some practitioners will look up benefits and see what out-of-network benefits are available to patients, and then let the patients file their own claims. And then we have, sort of the full concierge model where a practitioner will check the benefits and file the claims on behalf of their patients, but then the patient does all the tracking. So it basically in every model, it sends the responsibility of tracking the insurance claim to the patient through our app. Right. So that those are some ways that we're different.
And I think that's such a huge resource. I can tell you that probably the most common complaint that I receive from other clinicians is that they have no way, if they're out of network, they're not contracted with the third-party payer, they have no way of finding what the out-of-network coverage is from the insurance company. The patient, the beneficiary, has no idea how to call and check their own benefits. And so we all know when there's confusion in the mind of the consumer, the answer is no, they just don't do it. And so they avoid the services they probably need more than any other, simply because we don't have the information. And we think of access to information is so easy these days in 2022, yet this is like a black hole for so many people. So I would love to hear, you shared a story and you kind of referenced it earlier about like a success story from the client side, from the patient side. You shared a story about a single individual who submitted a year's worth of claims. I would love to hear any success stories that kind of stand out in your mind on the provider side. So clinicians from any discipline that got on the platform, how has it kind of changed or transformed the business or the way they do business to really help us do what we do best? I mean, we're clinicians. We want to treat patients. We don't want to get tied up with 30 minutes of telephone time in an automated system. What kind of success stories are fresh in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So since we released this instant benefits tool, and I'm happy to do a demo for you on the screen in a few minutes, but
sure.
Like you said, this is information that should be available and is available, but it's just tightly gated and hard to acquire. So what we did is, we're about technology and innovation in this healthcare insurance space. And so we tapped into that information, and with a few data fields, within 10 seconds, you can download the out-of-network benefits summary for virtually 90% of the population of the United States.
Wow.
And what that does is it transforms what it means to be an out-of-network practitioner. Because I remember for a little while early in my practice years, I would actually call insurance ahead of time to check people's benefits for them. I had a work study student I would assign that task to as well. But it was a low yield, and even if someone else is doing it, 30 minutes or more is a huge, colossal waste of time.
Sure.
And so we stopped doing it. So basically our message to people was, this is what we charge. These are the codes we'll use. Feel free to call your insurance to figure it out, what your benefits might be, and let us know if you want to schedule.
Right.
That's not a very inviting message to a new customer. And so it never really sat well with me. However, now, we hear from practitioners all the time, and practitioners are signing up every day just to get this feature, which is now you can have that conversation and all you need is their date of birth, ID number, and insurance company. And within a few seconds, you have their out-of-network summary. So you can immediately tell them, how many visits it might take to meet their deductible. You might even find out that their deductible is already fulfilled, so they'll start getting reimbursed immediately. And you'll also know the percentage or the rate at which their reimbursement will come. So immensely powerful to get someone in the door to alleviate the cost concern, especially when the majority of privately insured individuals have a PPO and have out-of-network coverage.
So you would be able to show me a demo now?
I sure can.